everybody. So pleased that you are hooking in to this broadcast. It's so important, you know, you can maintain connection without actually seeing face to face, and I'm grateful for every effort you make in that way. Hey, I'm going to hand over to Josh who will do our acknowledgement of country.
Thank you, sir. Good morning all. Hope everyone's had a good week. We had a really good panel on Thursday night. Thank you to everyone that was a part of that listened to the homelessness voices of the streets. So I'd like to start today by acknowledging the lands on which we meet, the lands of the Gadigal and the Bidjigal people. I'd like to pay respect to elders past, present and emerging, and remember always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I think most of the people I know are beginning to get a bit rattled by this COVID. I think for a time we felt like, oh well, this is inconvenient, but it's probably temporary. And now lots of people are beginning to think, actually, the world's changed, and maybe my future won't be what the past was. And the foundations are shaking. More important than it's ever been for us to come before the Almighty, the one who created everything that there is out of love. So let's begin today with prayer. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord, in a deeper place than just the chaos of my personality, in a deeper place than I even know, we cry out to you, O Lord. Hear our voice. Let your ear be attentive to our cry for mercy. O Lord, if you kept a record of sins, we're stuffed. But you are the God who keeps no record of wrongs. And we ask that this morning and in this very moment, something of the release of that, the permission to live, will be ours. That the things we use against ourselves to prevent life would weaken, and we would see the thing we can't name, but which is your Holy Spirit, that connects us to one another, makes us family. So we wait for you more than the watchman waits for the morning. O Israel, O Wayside, put your hope in the Lord, for that's the foundation that will work for you. Amen. So people, we're going to sing. Is there an order? Now there's a whole bunch of special treats going on today, so that once we sing, I'm handing over to John because he'll steer our way through it. But you got an order where you want to do this?
No. Do you have something that you want to do first?
Let's do Love Feeds My Soul, Another Day of Life, and then Grace Upon Grace.
Beautiful.
Okay. We know them all. You know them all. So even though you're just in your house on your own,
Already did.
let go. Let go. And if there are people who are not part of the church who live in your house, just let go all the louder. Cool. Hello Rodney, hello Karen, hello Jennifer.
Feeling I just can't face tomorrow. I found your
Thanks guys, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hi everyone. Oops, goodness. What have you learnt through COVID? You know what I've learnt? My breath stinks. Right? Now, Tim, are we okay to play the videos that we've got set up? Is there an order that you prefer? Okay. But before I end, one of the things that happens when we go through COVID is we don't get to print out so many orders of service anymore, which is probably good for the environment, but we haven't been putting the jokes on it, but I see Graham couldn't resist this week, so let me share that one with you. There it is. Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah. All right, there you go.
Debris everywhere.
He just couldn't resist, could he? Oh dear. So, oh dear. Hey Joe. Hey everyone. Hey, we've got some special guests with us logged on today, and they're from the Seaforth Junior Rugby League Club. And just before lockdown, they did a fundraiser for us, and we had it all set up. They were going to come in and I'll give them a tour of the place and show them just where their fundraising efforts will be sent to. So we couldn't do that, obviously we're all in lockdown, but I just want to give you a couple of bursts of light and life today as we get together, because this is too good not to share with you all. So they recorded a video, and they recorded a couple of videos actually, and I'm really glad to be able to show them to you. So through the magic of technology, Tim is going to show you their video.
One, two, three.
Hi to Wayside Chapel from Seaforth Raiders girls. I hope you have a good night. Bye.
Any other day at this time, I would call you up and tell you about the things that we would laugh about. I'm the king of cool and you're an acrobat.
Hi Wayside Chapel community. Bonnie and Eve here from Seaforth Raiders Girls Under 11s rugby team.
A little while ago, we decided to raise some money for people doing it tough in Sydney, so we hosted a movie night for our rugby team.
We made everyone Mexican food and our teammates made donations.
We raised over $500, which we are pleased to send through to Wayside Chapel today to share with the community.
We hope everyone is staying safe through these difficult times, and we hope to visit when we are allowed to. Bye!
So, little kick. So when Bonnie and Eve, when we when this round of lockdown finishes, we'll get them in with their families and we'll celebrate them a little bit more. But thank you to them. Thank you to the Seaforth Raiders Rugby Club in Manly. We just express our deepest thanks, and thank you for that little shot of life. Also, because we're getting together virtually, we are building a little bit of connection and community through chatting, but it's also nice to see from some lovely familiar faces. So this will be the first in a series. If you want to record a little video message of showing us what your life is like in lockdown, but also, you know, sharing a little bit of how you're using this time, please do. So over the last week or two, Kim and Marilyn have been in touch, and Maz is such a beautifully gifted poet. You might not know that. And so very courageously she uploaded a couple of poems that goes for about 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, that I'd just like to invite you to sit back and listen from the deep wisdom of our much loved Maz.
Good morning, John and Graham and Wayside friends. Firstly, thank you for the privilege of sharing my verses with you today. A bit of background about me that will explain my love of poetry. I was born in England and I immigrated to Australia in 1955. I attended school at Normanhurst West in Sydney, and when I was only 5, I met a lovely old man who lived not far from my home, and on my way to school he used to recite to me 4-line rhyming verses about me. He'd make them up on the spot. He would describe my pigtails, my freckles, or anything that he noticed on that particular day. That resulted in my love of poetry, which in turn has resulted in me writing hundreds of verses because of that gift that that lovely man gave me. I don't plan to write poetry. It literally jumps into my head. There has to be a cause and it has to be helpful, whether just to me or someone in need. These 2 COVID poems came out of frustration, yet they delivered a message that I didn't know until their completion. So I hope something that I've written will ring true with you. And just lastly, before I read my poems, we really missed our visits to Wayside from Raymond Terrace north of Newcastle. They used to be somewhat monthly. Unfortunately, as with everybody, we're unable to be there now. But thanks to John and Graham and all who make the recorded services possible, we are very grateful. Okay, number 1 poem. So thinking back to memories, last December long ago, did you have plans, adventures and holidays to go? Did you have hope and courage and could hardly wait to see just where your year would take you and how exciting it would be? Did you start the year with promise, a New Year's resolution? And did the year look good to you from your vantage point location? So now, just 8 months later, how are you right now? Are you suffering from frustration? Are you wondering how the hell we got here? What's all this about? Social distancing, now there's a first. And why is there so much doubt? And what's causing this confusion and opinions left and right? Should we cancel our holiday? Will there be a flight? Are we safe to travel? Because they say we're old. If we caught this virus, there's no hope. That's what we're told. There's a new and different language that the media fill our heads about being in this together and moving forward, it's been said. Society at its worst right now, and that we can't ignore. People behaving badly, their mental states are raw. There are things like panic buying, temper tantrums galore, those who follow directions and those who choose to ignore. Our country, parts in lockdown. Some states, you're not allowed. What happened to Australia, where once we were so proud? It seems to me that COVID is more than just disease. It's the cause for mass division, and I wish all this would ease. If life would return to normal, I'll make a promise, just to me, to appreciate the good days and know how lucky we can be, to know freedom through adversity, to understand true wealth, and that it doesn't come in dollars, but the value of good health. So perhaps we look at COVID, that it's happening for a reason, so that we can know and appreciate, just like the change of seasons, that change itself is inevitable. And although these times are rough, we have better days ahead. We are strong and tough. Because if we can get through COVID and the angst that we've endured, then we can get through anything. There is nothing too obscure. I can only speak from Kim and I, but the lessons most we found is to appreciate the quietness and learn to slow right down. Don't let the sadness settle or get beneath your skin. Don't let it rob your happiness or the joy you feel within. Be kind to one another and try and calm the mind. Focus on only what is good and leave the rest behind. This is my second poem. I wrote a COVID poem around September time last year, at a time when angst was raging amongst frustration, doubt and fear. And here now, 10 months later, yep, it's nearly been a year, yet reading through the verses, it's abundantly clear. We are still in this together, but struggling for a place. So many people out of work, financial stress they face. We really haven't gone that far, it really does appear. We have not moved forward. We are way back at the rear. And while we're slipping backwards with every outbreak that we face, we're all searching for direction from those with knowledge base. Now let me tell you honestly, I wouldn't want their job. Imagine what they face each day and how their time is robbed as they argue with each other and look to place the blame, instead of sharing options, finding outcomes all the same. Because the rules keep changing hourly, the choice of jabs unclear. Are our leaders working for us, or perhaps they too face fear? Social media at its worst, the uninformed who want their say and believe in all they hear or read and then pass it on their way. There are angry groups of marchers who've taken to our streets. Violence and picketing, they're certainly not discreet. I appreciate we have the right in a country where we're taught democracy, our say, our choice, from the ugly wars we fought. But we're losing fast a finish line, and the end is not in sight. No matter which direction, we are losing fast this fight. And then, within a heartbeat, the tiniest of sounds, I take some time to ponder, and I turn all this around. Amongst the doom and gloom despondency, there is one thing that is clear. Each day there is a sunrise, as each new day appears. We can make the smallest difference by looking for the best. We can choose to ignore the media, put Facebook down to rest, do good deeds for others, a smile behind the mask, run errands where they're needed, even the smallest task. Because every little thing we do, there's a gentle ripple effect that in turn each person passes on. It's called kindness, care, respect. Say thanks to those who are holding our country up front line, who unselfishly give their hearts and souls so that you and I can dine. To those who love and care for us, the medicos and such, the angels who are gifted, we appreciate you so much. We can quietly count our blessings, give thanks to where it's due, take time out with gratitude and face each day anew. When I started on this verse in the middle of the night, I admit I'd lost direction and I had given up the fight. But now, a short time later, the light is shining through. My vision seems renewed again. There is strength in all I do. There is healing in my writing and calmness in my thoughts. It seems I've turned a corner, found the answers that I sought. For often when we're looking and the answers don't appear, it's because we're looking outside us and they're close within, right here. Bye.
Thank you, Mads, for your wisdom, and we hope that inspiration strikes you again and again and again and often. And please join me in thanking Maz. Send her a message. If you're on Facebook, she's got Messenger. She's pretty good at that. And also, how about you? We can all record ourselves on our phones nowadays and send it along. And thank you, Tim, your amazing gifts. Yeah, I just flick it to him with 10 minutes to go. He said, "No worries, John, I can make this happen." So you're amazing. So thank you, everyone. What a treat. What a treat. We're mixing it up a little bit this Sunday, which is great. Adam, can you give us our gospel reading? Thanks.
This is the reading from John chapter 6, verse 35 and 41 to 51. Then Jesus declared, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." At this the Jews began to grumble about him because he said, "I am the bread that came down from heaven." They said, "Is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How can he now say, 'I came down from heaven'?" "Stop grumbling among yourselves," Jesus answered. "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and I will raise them up at the last day. It is written, they will all be taught by God. Everyone who has heard the Father and learned from him comes to me. No one who has seen the Father except the one who has come from God. Only he has seen the Father. Very truly I tell you, the one who believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, yet they died. But here is the bread that comes down from heaven, which anyone may eat and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world."
Thanks, brother. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Adam. Oof, what a simple, straightforward little passage, right? Easy. Actually, I could do at least 2 talks on this, but hopefully one will be more than enough, or maybe just enough. Oh, I don't know. I'm old enough to know are eggs good or bad for you anymore? You know, I think it was one year they were good for you. The next year they were bad for you. You know, it's high cholesterol now, they're great for you, and I'm not quite sure where we stand with eggs. What about bread? Right? In the world.
Bread and toast.
Eggs, bread and toast. Thank you. Bacon and egg rolls. You know, we're living in a low-carb world. So to talk about the bread of life is certainly something that we should think about. You know, like, I don't think it's any coincidence that in a world that's addicted to low carb, talking about the bread of life, when we're afraid of bread, makes us unwell. Bread nourishes, bread sustains, bread gets us through. But we're living between hope and despair in these times, aren't we? And I know life is about being on a roller coaster with its highs and its lows. And, you know, I think if you went to your doctor and looked at your heart rate monitor and said, "Look, I'd like, instead of the highs and lows, I'd prefer a flat line," I wonder what your doctor would say. I get it. But it just feels like someone's turned the speed up on the roller coaster, hasn't it? Haven't they? And it just seems up and down and up and down, and I want to hop off. I think we all want to hop off. But hopping off is like wanting a flat line, isn't it? I was just joking with Brother Josh here. It's like someone with bipolar has said, "I want the whole world to know what it feels like to be me." Because the highs are certainly higher than they've ever been, but the lows are also dark and low. Life is a roller coaster, and so we groan through these times, don't we? Even though we know that hope is closer than we would dare to admit, we still groan. And we still groan, even though right here there is a declaration of life, and we groan. So where is the good news in this little reading here? You're not alone. There's some good news. In Romans 8 it says the whole creation is groaning in anticipation basically of what's to come next. The whole creation is groaning along with you. You know, I think what we're finding hard about this is we have bought into the lie that the constituents, one of the marks that constitutes our humanity is our productivity and what we can do. And so we create. And then all of a sudden we've been plunged into stopping. And so while we've stopped, we haven't been able to create, we haven't been able to produce as much as we would normally or what we're used to, and all of a sudden we have an identity crisis. Who am I? We're really good at creating, but what we've forgotten is how to recreate. Recreation. How do we restore? How are we allowing ourselves to be led beside the still waters? How can we hear a call that says, I am the bread of life? There's an offer of life here that's readily available to everyone. Because the other side of the same coin, not the opposite, maybe just another part of the same face of the coin, is the productivity world in which we've come to wrap our identity up in, also holds highly the worthiness. If I'm productive, I know who I am, and I know I'm worthy. And this is an offer of bread that you have not earned. We don't like that. We love productivity, don't we? We love earning things. In fact, and I'm not here to knock it at all, I've loved watching the Olympics, but is that not the biggest festival for a worthiness competition ever? Right, the most worthy wins. In fact, I was on the way here in the car, there was on the radio, two guys were saying, two elite sportsmen who are now, retired, overweight sports commentators were just bemoaning, saying, how dare they let those two share? Because if everybody shares, everything will mean nothing anymore. And you know what? In the world of finite resources, that's true. But in the world of the infinite, yes, there is enough for all. The last couple of weeks we've been talking about readings about Jesus taking a couple of bits of bread here and suddenly performing miracles and making bread everywhere. And it's just abundant and it's flowing everywhere. It is the anti-meritocracy that's happening here. In fact, it's available for everyone, and no wonder, and it says the Jews, but it just means his people were saying, no, we can't cope with this. Jesus was a Jew. They can't cope with this. People like me can't cope with it. I'm part of the clergy. Shouldn't I be closer? Shouldn't I be more worthy than the next person? That's why they're freaking out here. They're grumbling. Because that's not how this world is supposed to work. Maybe it's not how the world's supposed to work, but it's how we're supposed to work. That there is this free and available offer. But I want to tell you something as well about grumbling. There's something precious in the grumble. It's okay to grumble. It's okay to fall apart. I've heard a lot of things lately where it says, sometimes I need you to be strong, but it's okay to be weak. Guess what? I'd like to change that sentence just a little bit, saying, sometimes I need you to be strong, and sometimes I need you to be weak. Because when we can be weak, we won't find substitutes to help us deal with our weakness that are usually destructive. So sometimes I need you to be strong, and sometimes I need you to be weak, because that can be the bravest, strongest thing that you can do. It's okay to grumble. This week I wrote about in the inner circle. After taking over from Graham in this role, I inherited many things, but one of the things I didn't expect to inherit was a cabinet full of the unclaimed remains of people who we have farewelled by the wayside. There's a growing number of containers that I'm adding to that community of the unclaimed, the unwanted. And I feel a strange affinity in my heart with them. And I realise I've actually found my little mob, the mob of the unwanted, the mob of the misfits. In many ways, it's a bit of a metaphor for us at Wayside. We connect because we're disconnected. We connect because we don't feel like we don't know where we fit. Yet somehow we find others that don't fit, and somehow that makes us fit together. Sometimes though I get really down and I can shake my fist at the sky and I can grumble. Why is there anyone here in this little group that no one loves and wants or has forgotten about? It's okay to grumble. In Sunday school, see around this worthy and meritocracy stuff again, is one of the favourite hymns. It's hilarious. There was a song that we used to sing called Jesus Bids Us Shine with a Pure, Clear Light. like a little candle burning in the night. In this world of darkness, we must shine. You in your small corner, and I in mine. Do you remember that song if you were at the Sunday school? But it's kind of saying, Jesus only likes you if you're good. Keep shining. Don't be dark. You know, it's okay. You know, we don't just bring the good stuff. We can bring all the hurts and the habits and the hang-ups. God's big enough to cope with it all. St. Teresa of Avila, the 16th century Carmelite nun, once shook her fist at the sky and said to God, "No wonder you have so few friends, the way you treat them." We all know that frustration. We all know that sadness. God's big enough to handle that. You can let it out. There's something precious in the grumble. Out of the depths I cry to you. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to this cry for mercy. That's written there right in our big book. There, it's okay to yell and to scream. Jesus said that he was the bread of life. It's there, it's offered, it's open to you. You haven't earned it. Jesus said he is the light of the world. And I can't help but be drawn to Maz's beautiful poem there. You know, the point of the light is not to stare at the light. So, yes, is a preacher saying the point of Jesus isn't to look to Jesus? Maybe. If Jesus is the light of the world, what is light for? Light is to help us see everything else by. To see where light and life are active in this world. When we ask for clarity of sight, and so much of Jesus' work through these stories is healing the blind, helping the blind to see, to help look at what the light is shining on, to realise with Maz that as we wake up in the morning we see that the sun still shines, and to see that which it shines upon. You know, right now I think we're getting too stuck in the whole self-introspection. You know, you don't take that light and stick it up your own bum, you won't see anything, right? We use that light to shine out and to see others. You know, there's very little to no value in trying to fix yourself up in this time. And don't sweat the small stuff. As we're locked in, as we're locked down, you know, we start our self-improvement pity party. Give yourself a break. Drop that. That's good news. There's some grace. And receive your unearned, unmerited bread from heaven. To let that light show you the path forward. How's that? Now we're gonna sing you out. Hey Marcus, good to see you all. Oh, we got Bronwyn, south of Broome. Who's south of Broome? Hey Des, I think you were following me in your car the other day, Desmond.
Marcus.
Good to see you. Hey Marcus. Now I'm gonna let these beautiful people sing us out with a traditional church hymn written by Charles Wesley in the 1400s. All right?